Welcome to the Charley King Show, Bluebell Talks, and I am so excited to be supported by Hummingbird Nest Ranch.
The Charley King Show, Bluebell Talks. Come on in, let the whole room talk. The Charley King Show, Bluebell Talks. We learn your life, then we sing it back. The Charley King Show, Charley King Show, Bluebell Talks. Big heart, big dreams, and a little bit of sparkle.
So my guest today basically changed my life. I would not have the career that I didn't know I needed if it was not for this amazing lady taking a chance on me. Back in 2007, after going through my divorce, I was trying to decide if I should move to New York or perhaps, although a little bit early, start thinking about what my life would be if I was not performing. So I decided to randomly Google wedding planners, and up popped this really pretty website for a planner called GP Events, owned by the lovely Gianna. And at the end of our call, she very kindly invited me to shadow her at a bar mitzvah. Well, I'd never been to a bar mitzvah before, and I was so excited. And the moment I saw the large tent and the stunning decor and the band, I felt like, I know this. This is like putting on a show. So excitedly, I walked out of the tent and towards a lady sitting on a bale of straw outside of what I would come to learn was the catering tent. So we sat and we chatted for ages, and both being British, we were like, la, 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 and we had so much in common. And little did I know that this lady was Pauline Parry, the founder of Good Gracious Events, one of LA's premier catering companies. At the end of the conversation, Pauline invited me to shadow her, I think it was like 6 weddings, and that she was also planning and catering. And I said, yes. And I kept saying yes. And at the end of the last wedding, she let me get the bride down the aisle. And I got the goosies. And I sobbed. And she turned to me and she said, if you would like to do this full time, come and work for me as my assistant, and I'll teach you everything you need to know. I couldn't believe it. And I said yes. And my whole life and my career changed in that one instant. Little did I know the caliber of the company that I was joining and how this lady would open up a whole new world to me. So I am beyond excited to welcome to the show today the wonderful Pauline Parry, who founded Good Gracious Events back in 1983 and who has been a leader and a mentor in the wedding and event industry for over 40 years. And she's also been conducted into the Hall of Fame. She's won numerous awards for her events and is now an author of 2 books, Food, Fun, Love, Party Styles, and a biography, My Culinary Love Story, which is about to be made into a movie. So please welcome my mentor, Pauline Parry.
Charley, thank you very much for that beautiful introduction.
Oh,
First of all, let me just say, when I met you that very first time, and I could see immediately, first of all, you're just beautiful.
Oh,
I saw the stamina that you had. You always had a beautiful smile. And I remember, you were given some challenges to do that you probably had never been asked to do before.
yeah.
But I did observe that you just said, yep, I can do that. Yes, I got it. Just put me in the right direction. and you had all that. And so, yes, after our conversation, it really wasn't hard for me to say, if you want to learn this industry, I could see within you, probably within that first hour,
Really?
that you had something that it was something. And I think it was something that I thought it was working on, enthusiasm. I could sort of see the passion about what you were doing. And I just felt that whatever task you had, you would probably just do
Do
that
it.
task 100% and never stop doing
Aw.
it. So I don't think I paid you when you did those six weddings
No, I
with me.
shadowed you. I worked from my
Gosh, I'm
heart to
so
learn
mean,
from
so
you.
mean, so mean. I didn't mean to be.
Well,
But
and now when someone
but
else
I do want to say, I've always paid people, but obviously I
No,
didn't do
it's
that
okay.
time. But you came along, and it wasn't a case you weren't being paid. You took that job as if you were being paid, whatever. And we had some challenges on those
Yeah, we
weddings. I
did. They
remember
were
a
big
few, yeah,
weddings.
some
Yeah,
big challenges, and we overcame them.
we did.
And you became a star after of that, to be perfectly
Aw.
honest. And I think there's one thing that stood out to me as well, and I think that. When you said you saw that, you liked parties, you really didn't know the extent of what a
I
party
didn't.
could be. That's
Not a
for
clue.
sure. But when you said to me, I said, well, gosh, you've been on Broadway, for God's sake.
Just
You've been in a
finished.
movie, just finished. I said, why are you giving up all that? And, without disclosing ages and things like that.
I was 22 at the
Yeah,
time.
I know. I started when I was 12.
Yeah, you did though.
You said, what, I just think I've realized, Pauline, I'm not going to be a major star. I just think that. And I think that's the realization for you must have been really difficult to know that, because you still want to keep going and going, because you were truly very good at what you did, but you just somehow felt you didn't. And you made that decision then that your career path needed to go somewhere else. And I think that was a very courageous thought process that you went through to do that.
Yeah, it was weird because I had done everything that I ever imagined I would ever have the chance to do, like be on Broadway, be in a Hollywood movie, 2 Hollywood movies, star on Broadway, star in the West End. Every dream I ever had, I had realized. And so when I changed my careers, I didn't feel like, oh, I was just, all right, well, it didn't really work out, so I'm just going to try something different. It was like, and this sounds weird, but how it's coming out sounds better in my head. But it was like, I'd had all those dreams. And then it was like, I knew I'm not Julia Roberts. I knew I wasn't, and my best friend was Catherine Zeta-Jones. I know I'm not those beautiful actresses, but I knew what I had, and I knew that I had gone as far as I really thought that I could go. And when you offered this, I was like, yeah, I'm
I know.
going to go down that.
And
alley.
really, when I came to America, I had the same realization. I did start in England, but when I came to America, I thought I might go and work in a country club or a hotel and be, I think, hotel director of sales or something. I'm not quite sure. But it was really, I didn't really know what direction I was going to go to. But it was actually the American entrepreneurial spirit that I hadn't really experienced in England.
We're
when I
not
came
allowed to
here.
have it in England,
No.
are we?
And so I came here, and the friend, it was a dinner party, and she said, "My God, Bonnie, you're so good at cooking." She said, "You just do it so well. Why don't you start your own catering company?" I went, really?
And that's how it
And
started.
that's how it started. And that spirit that, I felt when I came here of opportunity,
Yeah.
how it could be. And I've been going just a few years, maybe 10, 15 years by the time you came into my life. I've started to see what the possibilities were of this and
Yeah.
what could be done. And I can understand you being a party planner back in those days, or a producer, or, however elevates yourself into new arenas with your business. But it is truly,
Mm.
it's show business. It's like,
It is
I do my job live. I
putting on
remember
a show.
speaking to a florist one day, and I said, I think we have, we've just done 10 hours in the heat, putting this party together, and it started. And I said to him, do you want a glass of champagne? He said, I'd love one, And so we just sat there as 2 vendors or suppliers, saying, oh my God. And I said to him, I think, you and I, florists and the caterer, we work really the hardest. I said, not that
Yeah.
anyone else doesn't work hard, but I said,
That you
we
do.
do. And he said, no, he said, I think you do. And I said, how'd you make that assessment? He said, because you do everything live. And I went, wow,
Yeah.
we do.
You don't get a
And it's
redo.
just like you on Broadway. You're on that stage. You
Yeah.
got one chance of doing that, and you screw up, you're done.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so every event I do,
It's a live
do
show.
live.
Yeah. Well, before we continue, because I have so many things I need to talk to you about, I recently went to Tuscany and I stayed at this beautiful place called Monteverdi, which is a beautiful place to get married. And I want to give you this beautiful bottle of red wine. And
You
now,
know my weakness, right?
so
a little
like
bit of a lush on red wine.
having just read your amazing book, My Culinary Love Story, and I know this is your favorite sound.
Glug, 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 glug.
So I can't have this conversation without
Oh.
you having a glass of red wine in your hands.
Oh, thank you.
So
I know people might
sweet.
think I've given up drinking if they don't
You
see me with red wine.
It's a beautiful red wine, and they taught us how to swirl it and sniff it and,
I
like,
know.
embrace it when we were in Italy, and
Oh
so
yes, sounds
enjoy
beautiful.
that
It
while we
does.
chat.
Well, cheers.
Cheers. I'll
And
cheers you
I
with
did. I
my
had
cup of
a
tea.
little trip to Tuscany a few years ago. Absolutely stunning. Stunning.
Unbelievable. I love Italy, and I had never been to Tuscany, so it was so fabulous to go.
Beautiful.
Is it lovely?
Lovely.
Nice and rich.
Lovely.
Yeah. So I was reading your book. Well, actually, I listened to it because I love to listen to Audible, and I know you didn't narrate it, but because I
I
know
wish
you,
I did, but I couldn't. I
I
got
do.
too emotional.
I know.
Your
I
voice isn't
heard.
quite right,
But because I know you, I heard you through the book, and like because you go damn a lot, and I heard that in there, and I saw you and Dennis, and it is a beautiful love story.
Thank you.
It really is.
Yeah. And the book, I just want to tell you, I really didn't start out to write this book as it turned out.
Really?
Yeah, the reason I started this book was we were in England, and I have about a dozen nephews and nieces, and my parents had both passed, but we got together for family celebration, and it was one of the, debriefing the next day, and we're all sat around the table drinking, talking, chatting. And all the nephews and nieces were now in their 20s, early 30s. They started to ask a lot of questions about my mum and dad. How did Grandpa meet Mum? What happened? What did you do in the war? And it's
Especially he was Polish
yeah.
too.
So my dad was Polish and my mum was British, and so it's like they never knew their story, and especially how my dad came from Poland to England and how he married my mum, and that whole life story. And I thought it was quite surprising, but they were suddenly interested in what it was. So we were coming back to America, and I said to my husband, I said, do you know what? I think I'm going to write why we came to America. And if anyone wants to know why we did it, I'm going to put it with my important documents, and they can read it. And so the story is there. And he said, you know what? That sounds like a great idea. And I was on the plane. I'm like a ninja with a BlackBerry back in that day. I started writing on the plane on my phone. And I think I did it all on my phone and transferred it to the computer. And it was 18 pages. And it was really about how I met Hurricane America and why we came to America. But it's really quite condensed. My husband read it and he said, oh, yeah. He said, yeah, this is good. That's exactly the story. And then he sort of looked, he said, but you know what? There was so much more to that story. He said, you're missing the passion of why it all happened, what we went through and how it was.
Yeah.
And he said, why don't you write a book? And I said, really? Really? So I know I had a party style book that actually was published by Caterer back in the day,
Yeah.
which is
That's when
completely
I was with
different.
you.
This is a memoir cookbook, and it was just going to be of that time. And he said, why don't you write a book? And it was just about the time of COVID. So things were flip-floppy then. And I said, okay. He said, you're really quite good at writing. And I said, let me just get an editor that they can keep me on track. And
Yeah.
because my spelling and grammar and all that stuff is not my finest. So
But
we
she
did.
can
We
cook a
hired a
damn
Japanese
meal.
gardener. She helped me through the process, and she encouraged me to write a little bit better or express what I was really feeling. She might say, I love that part about it, but I want to know more about that. So that's how she encouraged me to write a little bit more depth instead of just sort of telling the story, So that's really how that came
You
to be.
really took us on a journey,
I took you on
it
a
was
journey.
very emotional. And your love story with Dennis, I love Dennis. I love your husband, but how you guys, well, it starts off like when you get divorced, when you find out that your husband is,
Having a
having a
dalliance
dalliance with the
next
neighbor.
door neighbor.
Yeah, and how your life changes, and it was interesting because you were given opportunities that came into your life that you took, and you were like, yes, I'm going to do this.
Took a lot of
I
risk on reflection.
You did take a lot of risk when you were given this new job and you moved the kids into the flat and from a house, and I wondered if there was a little bit of like, because you were given chance, somebody gave you a chance. I wonder if that was like a little bit, you gave me a chance because you had been given all these chances, and like you were passing it on, and all these things were going through my head when I was reading the book.
Really?
And and just how you met Dennis. And you really take us on this lovely journey, but as well as your love story and your challenges, you put all the recipes in the book.
Yeah, and do you
Because
know what?
that's
That
your love
developed.
story,
I
right?
realized that food was such an important
Yeah,
part of the
the
whole
relationship.
relationship. And, and as you can read in the book, even growing up, cooking at home in the family gatherings and my father's culture, my mother's culture, how we ate, how the garden was very important. We talk about, sustainability here nowadays, even in England, we had water tanks, we had compost heaps, we had
Mm.
the greenhouses to grow up, So food was a major part of growing up. And I was always the one of mum, she'd make a Victoria sandwich every week, a coconut cake, she'd make nuggets some weeks and she'd make the rissoles from the leftover meat. So, and I was always one there that's right by her side who always wanted to help. So I presume it was in my DNA.
Mm.
And I didn't really realize it, but my dad actually had a sister, Gania, and she actually was a chef in Poland. She
Oh,
died at a
wow.
very young age of cancer, but
Oh,
which is very sad. I did
Mm.
actually get to meet her at one time.
Mm.
So maybe something in my soul was right there with the food and hospitality and maybe my future. So as you know from the book,
Mm.
I married young. I had 2 young children.
Yeah.
I got divorced because of infidelity. And I by chance went to this restaurant, which was run by a couple, and they offered me right that night, said, why do you come and work for me?
That was the night
And I
you met
said,
Dennis.
no, it wasn't that night. I was
Oh,
out with another day. I was out with the accountant. When
oh,
the
that's
job
right.
I did it home at
Red.
night to earn a little bit of
That's right.
pocket money, as you might say. And yeah, so and I said, what would I do? I don't know, what would I do?
Yeah.
Well, just what we do. We want to move on to our house. We want to move out of here. So you can just manage the restaurant and, you can live upstairs with the children and open the restaurant at night, greet guests, and do what you would do in a restaurant. I said, well, I've never done that before. And they said, we'll teach you everything we know. Well, they
Full
teach you everything we
circle.
know. And so sure enough, I gave them 24 hours and I said, I'm going to do it. So, my ex-husband was a little despondent because I had to move out the security of a little suburban house and
Mm.
live above a restaurant, and
Didn't go down well.
work all night, go to bed at 12, 1, and take the children to school the next day and all that good
Yeah.
stuff. Anyway, so that's really how it started.
Yeah, and I love the comeback at the end. I won't give it away of when you moved on to opening up
A castle,
a castle. I mean, who gets that
a
experience
16th century
to
castle
open
again.
Thornbury
How,
Castle?
how could, I mean, you can't imagine. So
Given, it was
there
given to
was
you.
opportunity in England,
Mm.
but there was a little bit, but what do you think she's doing?
Well, that's the British mentality,
That's a
right?
little bit
Cut
very
the tall
negative,
poppy down.
very negative. And I did again. That person gave me the opportunity to do. I always say what we do is not rocket science. It's really something, but it's
Mm.
so important to
It
what we do.
is.
And you've realized that. I used to
Mm.
say, we're just doing food and doing some hospitality. We're serving beverages, and anyone could do that. I'm sorry, they can't.
No,
No,
not to
they
the level
can't.
that you do
And
it.
it's really, it took me a little moment that how important the weddings, the family celebrations, even the memorials, the bar mitzvahs, the birthday parties, how they are truly memories and milestones for every family that you do it,
Yeah. Yeah.
And actually, I'm doing a party next week. We married a couple last year. They want to recreate the whole wedding with the food, and they're having their closest friends, and we're
That's
redoing the
lovely.
menu again with the specialty
But I
cocktails. And I mean,
love that.
how important it is to them.
Yeah. You are listening to The Charley King Show. My guest today is the wonderful Pauline Parry, owner of Good Gracious Events. We'll be right back with this conversation after a few words about my amazing sponsor, Hummingbird Nest Ranch. Hummingbird Nest Ranch has a legendary past and an even more exciting future. Nestled in the stunning Santa Susana Mountains of California, this iconic property is back under passionate new ownership, being restored as the luxury destination wedding venue it was always meant to be. Their team brings over 30 years of hospitality experience, deep marketing expertise, and the financial commitment to make Hummingbird Nest Ranch everything it's ever dreamed of being. And while their long-term vision stretches towards a world-class spa and resort, today their singular focus is on you and making sure every event at Hummingbird Nest Ranch is nothing short of extraordinary. Because there, 110% isn't a goal, it's the only standard they accept. And now let's jump back into the conversation with Pauline Parry.
I just have to tell you because it happened yesterday. We actually, the Good Gracious, we have a marketplace, and it's really have a taste of Good Gracious if you don't have that milestone or that launching of products or whatever you have in life. And we were doing the food for them, and the girl called us up. It's a company, a Korean company, and they're promoting their products, so they're inviting all their guests to their facility, and they give them hospitality with our food and beverages. And she called us. Oh, first of all, that beef sandwich. I'd never eaten a beef sandwich like that before. And she said that we have a problem now. She said they're talking more about the food and our products. So
Oh,
I don't know how
how do
we're
you?
going to come against that. I said, well, that's music to my ears. Thank you very much. She said, no, it's great. She said, but it's a great experience. And I just think to myself, wow. So people do notice these. This
They
is a
do.
marketplace product that you put out there, but you put your heart and soul
But that's
into
the
it to make it
difference.
taste. Yeah.
You put a little magic of love into it.
Yes.
Because when I came to Good Gracious, having been a dancer, food for me was like just to keep me alive. Like going out to dinner was like, well, I have to eat. It was not anything more than that.
No important.
And, you didn't really want to eat because you had to wear costumes on stage, that you just weren't very much of them.
Yeah.
Anyway, when I came to you, you taught me that food and entertaining was a celebration. And even if it was just lunch in the kitchen, well,
Yes.
Good Gracious, it was a celebration and
We got
life
to
was a
make it right. We got to
celebration.
make it look good and do the best you possibly can so
Yeah.
that it
I learned that from you.
yeah.
And I know you embrace life with like such joie de vivre. Everything you do is like, and your family means so much to you, and that comes into your food
Yeah.
and your parties.
Yeah. And I suppose, it's interesting. You talk about your dad with the Bluebell, which is a beautiful story, actually. I just remember then when I did make the decision, oh yeah, let's let me start a catering company.
So how did you get that idea?
That's in the third book. So let me tell you a quick little story.
Yeah.
So and then we did, and I said, I realized that we're not going to have any more children, Dennis and myself. I don't want any more children. Anyway, we decided. For a hot second, I called it Paris, my last name, catering. And I said, just such a stupid name. Sounds like Paris, and we're not Paris, it's Parry, and people get it wrong. And I said, I need a little bit more imaginative event. And someone actually approached me. They said they had a holistic store that they were going to open that was no longer going to be open. They were going to call it Good Gracious. And I said, I just like that name. As you know, Good Gracious is used in England.
Yes.
Really, Good Gracious. Yeah.
Touch your
You,
face.
Charlie?
Oh my gracious,
You've been doing?
Pauline.
Good gracious. And I said, I really like that. And I called my mum. We had to call them back in those days.
Yeah.
And I called her. I said, hello, Mum. And she went, good gracious, is that you, Pauline? I said, yes, it is. And that's going to be the name of the new company. So
I love that.
I just put
this
events on the end. And that's how it was born. So, it's the
Same
very
thing.
same thing, So
Yeah.
it gets to your roots of what it's all about, and so Good Gracious was born.
When it feels right, doesn't
right.
it?
That's
Like,
right.
yep, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
No deviating from it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I know the book ends as you arrive here in California.
Yes.
And so there is a third book in the.
So the reason, yes, there is a third book,
Good,
and I
'cause we
am
need
writing
the
it
next
now.
story.
I am writing it now, and I'm much on my 6th chapter. It's going to be a lot longer than I thought. I might have to break it up a little bit because the first book really ends when I came to America. And so within our industry, people thought, I'm a little bit well known within our industry. People thought it was all about how I built Good Gracious, what, some business
Yeah, no.
advice and things like that. And it's nothing. So they were really very disappointed. They said, oh, there's not a word about Good Gracious. And I said, no, it hadn't come on we hadn't even thought about Good Gracious then. So Dennis said, you should write it.
Yeah.
He said, it's a great story. So it's an inspiration book. It's about business, business, the rights and wrongs of what I did, my opportunities I had, how it went right, how it went wrong, how it was quite fabulous. And it's intertwining of how you live life being married with 2 children when how you
Mhm.
all intertwine that magic of what you
Mhm.
do. So it's not sort of my work's here and my life's here. My personal life is completely intertwined. And my husband, Dennis, he too is an entrepreneur
Mhm.
and he's in the custom woodworking business.
Mhm.
So we're 2 entrepreneurs that
Yeah.
work together with the ups and downs. So as one of your previous guests, talked about finances, how you work that, how you have good days, bad
Bad
days.
days, yeah.
And yes, I'd love to have 6 months, oh my God, fund.
Yes. Very important. We've
Had
come
it,
to
I've
learn.
had it in moments of my life, but
Comes and
if it was
goes.
constant, but
Yeah.
it's not. And so the third book is really about that. So how I built Good Gracious, h- and really how I built it within our lifestyle of living. So it becomes a lifestyle of living, really.
It
I
is.
don't have a title for it,
Okay.
but I should have a working title.
Good gracious.
And
It is good gracious.
down to business.
Good gracious, you made it to
Take that-
California and
whatever.
um,
Yeah.
and it-
So that's really how that came about.
I love
Right at the third.
that.
And I can do it because I don't know, I'm jumping the gun here or not. Maybe I can answer the questions before you ask me the questions, right?
Answer it. Answer it. What am I going to ask you? Telepathy. I know you so well.
I semi-retired. So I am semi-retired
Yeah.
now.
Congratulations.
Yeah. So I
It's a big deal.
I have I have a team, there that are, I just want to say, are quite fabulous, as
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
them all, and I couldn't be happier. And you just cannot stop work one day and not go into the next work. So I am still the words of wisdom.
Yes.
I am the CEO,
Yes.
and so I'm available to them, and I go in, do about 10, 12 hours a week. I probably get on their nerve, but I just
No, they
check on
love
what they're
having you
doing,
about
how they're
it.
doing. The clients, our business is based on referral and
Yeah.
repeat.
Yeah.
So everyone is, I'm quite familiar with them. So it's really quite a beautiful
Yeah.
thing that I have going. And as you know, I work with my daughter as well.
She's
so
the head chef.
but,
Joanne is the head chef.
yeah, she's president now.
President. Yeah.
Yep. And so I have the
That's
time to
beautiful.
do this, and I've had the time to find a little bit more balance in life. And Dennis too, he's actually he's also backed out of his business, and he will be done by
Oh
June,
my
I think. So
gosh.
we'll be 2 old codgers. I said, you're not coming on my walks with me. I just don't want that. I said, we're still gonna have a separate life here. We got to get this balanced, because he loves his golf and things
Yeah.
like that. So I
I
think
love it.
it'll work.
I think it will. I think you two have such a wonderful relationship that you will figure this out like you figured out everything else in the book. It's going to be a movie, right?
So you talk about opportunity and why it happens, and it's really, you write the book and that's it. And I had a friend who actually is in the catering industry, but she loves writing, and she wrote herself a screenplay. And she asked him one day, could you just read my screenplay and just tell me what you think? So I did actually one Sunday afternoon. I opened a glass of wine, led on the sofa, and I read a screenplay. It was called People Make Plans. And it was really good. And for whatever reason, you talk about paying it forward. She was having some financial difficulties about one thing or another. And then when I read it, I looked at her and I said, you know what? Do you want to write a screenplay for my book? She said, what do you mean? I said, well, I thought the screenplay was good. You know how to write a screenplay, right? Yes, I've been to lessons. I know how to do it. She said, I couldn't do it without this other person. And I said, well, bring that other person on. I said, so just tell me. I said, and I just let us paying it forward
Mm-hmm.
to give her something to do and to actually earn some money. And not like a loan or giving someone something. And she said, okay, I'll do it. And I said, give me an amount. And they did. And I said, you know what? That's fine. let's do it. And so the two of them wrote the screenplay. I mean, I knew the screenplay like I need double pneumonia, I just, it's just, I never thought that. Anyway, the person that she partnered with to write it, he's a producer, he's a director, and he's a writer as well. And he writes screenplays, and he has a business. And when he read it, he just said, "Oh, this needs to be a movie."
See, it is.
And he said, "I would just love to produce this movie." And I said, "Well, that's okay."
Yeah.
I said, "Fine." And so so he took it on the task of being the producer of the movie. And so this was about a year ago. And I was of the mindset, if it's a movie, it's a movie. It's not, it's not, And because it's, really, I do my whole life there up on the screen.
Yeah.
And so, but it's been quite exciting. They did a pitch deck, because they
Yeah.
wanted to sell it. So the
Cast
stage,
it?
so the stage we're at is the British Film Commission and the Somerset Film Commission. Who knew there was a Somerset Film Commission?
Yeah.
They are prepared to put the money up. They have a distribution company over there called Bankside. They have someone who's rewriting the screenplay. They wanted just a tiny little bit more drama in it, which I actually wrote. But he's adapting it to, in his words, a Rupert Walter. Or is it Walter Rupert? There's people that do.
Oh, I know.
the same thing.
I do the
It's
same.
Rupert Walter. And the demands are that they want it to be a whole
British.
cast,
Yeah.
crew,
I love it.
and whatever. And really, the only element that we are looking for is the right director. We'd love a woman director.
Mhm.
We did put it on the desk of Emma Thompson. I don't know whether she's read it or not. So it's
that would
just a
be
little on hold. We've just
perfect.
rewritten the screenplay to bring it to another level. And so hopefully it's going to happen.
It is.
I just don't know when it's going to happen, but it's definitely going to happen.
Have you cast yourself? Who have you cast? I've cast you. I'll tell you who I
Who did
think.
you say? I can't remember. Who
I
cast it.
think Kerry Mulligan.
Oh yes,
That's right, isn't it?
Yes,
Mulligan.
Kerry Mulligan.
Yes, I just
Yes.
saw her in the TV show Beef recently.
Right.
Yeah, and I was like, she'd be perfect to play you because she had kind of like the same haircut, but also I just thought she was would be a great you.
Anyway, so and the cast actually, Dennis is Theo Thomas. Theo Thomas.
Okay.
I said, really? He's my husband's blonde first.
Yeah, the long hair.
Long hair.
Yeah.
Over it. But, so it's going to happen.
It
and
is.
It's pretty exciting. And I'm thinking, gosh, this girl from Bristol, here I am in Hollywood, and we're talking about movies.
Dreams. You
It's
had
just-
dreams.
And and if it works, it's going to be. But I'd love it to happen now, to be perfectly honest.
Yes, I think
I
it
sort
should
of live
be.
with it, and I just said, we need to giddy up here. Let's go.
Yeah. Well,
I'm ready.
can I ask you, what happened to the beautiful love letters that you both wrote each other? They wrote each other a love letter every day while they were apart, while Dennis comes to America and Pauline stays
For a
in
year.
England. And do you still have them?
No,
Or were they?
they were burnt in the fires, and we lived in Malibu, and we had them in actually grocery bags. And Joanne had a closet, which was right in the back of the closet, and they were all stored there. And my mum used to write, and so did his parents, write once a week. And we just saved all those letters.
So lovely.
And we had to get out of the house so quickly. I didn't even get back to the house. And it just
You lost
missed it.
everything.
Yeah, we lost everything. Yeah, and the love letters are there, and I sometimes think, gosh, that was probably a movie in itself. But
Yes.
sometimes I guess, it's okay.
It's okay. You have those memories.
yeah.
You
It
did
might have
it.
been just for other people. It might have been inspiring. It might
Yeah.
have been great because, as you know, I used to go to bed every night and just write it.
Right.
And sometimes I used
Bless
to
it,
get
I
2
love it.
letters because we had double mail drops back in the day.
Mm.
And it was a whole way of life of doing that. And and actually, I just read a book called The Correspondent, and it's all about her letter writing and how she does it. And I think Oprah Winfrey has just got her on one of her shows. Actually, I didn't realize it was a brand new book, but because I'm semi-retired, I have been back to reading.
Right.
Once I started my business, I never read a book.
Except magazines.
Magazines,
Journals.
business,
Yeah.
journals,
Mhm.
whatever. And so, and my daughter-in-law, she's a big reader, and I said, I'm going to get back into reading. So she gave me one book, and I was reading it. But like you, I've actually gone to audio because I tend to have a good walk every day,
Mm,
and the audio
love
really,
it.
yeah. I don't seem to find the time quite to move the pages like I did
Yeah.
that when I read that screenplay. But that's the ultimate. I love turning the pages,
Yeah.
but I do find it quite efficient. I can listen to a book.
Driving,
Walking.
walking, yes. Although there's nothing better than
Because
like
we multitask on everything.
I know, right? You can't just do one thing. Our
No,
brain's like,
no, no,
yeah. But
yeah.
the smell of the page, the
You
turning
know
of the
what I mean?
page,
Yeah.
going to a bookstore is my
Yeah.
favorite thing.
Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, and actually, as you said, that's an audio. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. Well, I just really hope that that does become a movie. And if you do like reading books or Audible, My Culinary Love Story is just fabulous. And the recipes are in there, so you can
Yeah.
go in and make
So
the
let me tell you
food.
about it. It was all about food. And as I was writing it, I realized that, oh my gosh, I need to write a recipe or two.
So glad
So
you
like
did
my
that.
first meal that I cooked for Dennis was actually a steak au poivre. And so the recipe's in there with different mashed potatoes and all of that good stuff. So when I was doing it, I put 1 or 2 recipes after each chapter, and I have a dear friend who did watercolors, and she's so very. I asked her, I said, would you like to just do? I'll take a photograph of the food because Joanne we had to obviously test the food for the recipes to be accurate.
Yeah.
And so I'd give her the photograph, and then she changed it into watercolors. So this is a
Beautiful.
romance. I said, we have to do watercolors here. And she wouldn't take any money for it. I said, well, what if I pay you for food? So we take photographs and a big bag of food. And she,
Take of the food.
yeah, so Jeanette Carpenter did all that for me. And
I
I love
love
Jeanette and
that.
Peter,
I
right?
do.
They're
Yes.
both
Yeah.
artists in their own right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It's
that's how
nice.
the recipes came into it.
I,
And there's 68 of them in there, actually.
so great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved it.
It's a romance, so I had to soften it, but not a photograph. Because I like
Yeah.
looking at cookbooks with photographs in. So,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah.
So,
So I can
yeah.
imagine what it's going to look like. And
Yeah,
if I
which
don't
is like
like
in
the
this
recipe,
one, right?
yeah. And if I don't like the recipe, I will. I can see what it looks like. I can I can generally cook it by what it's looking like.
Did
And
you
just
always know you loved cooking?
yeah, I think I did.
As a kid,
Yes, as a
you
child.
loved it?
Yeah, I always helped my mother. I would cook
Yeah.
and do it, and my dad always wanted to know how it was happening. And so and actually my first husband, we had dinner parties, and
Mm.
I would learn, and I realized I couldn't cook bread back in the days. I remember one dinner party, I tried to make bread for it, and it was just like bullets, So
But that's
and
where everybody started realizing that you realized that you were a really good cook
yeah.
because you would cook for the neighbors.
So I've never been formally trained. So I am a cook by trade,
Mm.
and I've learnt to do it, And but I would recommend if anyone actually going into business, I did it all wrong actually.
You did
And
it
actually I was
right.
British, and the British didn't have a very good reputation for food, back in 40 years ago.
Mm.
But we've certainly changed that culture.
Yeah,
We're really quite brilliant at producing
we are
fine,
now.
fine, fine
Yes.
food. And but it wasn't back in the day. But quite interestingly, I never actually got that kickback. I thought people might say, "Oh, you're British and you're only good at cooking," And I really
You never got.
yeah, it's really started off making. Well, the third book will mention that, but yeah, really traditional English food, which is not to the American palate, which was really stupid on my part. But
Yeah.
yeah,
But again, people loved your food, and that's
yeah,
how you got started. And
yeah,
you probably never would have had that catering company if you stayed in England because you wouldn't have had that
no,
support or that, yeah, go get it, Pauline, kind of,
yeah.
although you always were a go
Although
getter.
I must say, and I think your family was probably similar. My family were very supportive, as you read when my mum and dad said we're going to go to America.
Yeah, they're
They're very
supportive of you.
supportive. They were sad, but they were supportive.
Yeah, I broke my mum's heart the day I told her I was going to America,
Yeah.
and she never really got
Yes.
over it.
Mhm.
She was obviously like, "Yes, go live your
Mm.
dreams," but I know I broke her heart that
Yeah.
day.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
she's so proud.
but yeah, she
Well,
was.
that's really what
But
life is made up of,
yeah,
isn't it?
and it's like
Yeah.
that's a good parent, right?
Uh-huh,
Who
uh-huh.
teaches you that this is how here's your wings, now fly.
Yeah, that's fine.
know.
That's right. You're not that
Yeah.
helicopter person, right?
No, exactly, exactly.
I think that's a new word I learned.
Helicopter parent. You don't want to be that. Yeah. Well, I know you think that and I believe as well that that events are very much like the theater.
Oh yeah.
And so how do you turn a dinner into a performance? And do you remember that time
I
when we
do.
were in Vegas? Because you are the queen at turning food into a performance.
So we did. We had we were really given some ideas of how you can make it into a performance.
Yeah.
And we did work for the ballet companies and Charley background, and we decided this one day. I was teaching them about what potentially you could do, and I said, if you want to, you could have the servers come in. I said, but just take a specialty table and play some ballet and have ballet dancers serving the food. So Charley and happened to be another person who was a ballet dancer.
The chef.
The chef. And they actually served the soup to the Nutcracker Suite on that occasion.
I got my point shoes out for you on that day.
Oh my gosh. And people just were wild about it. I'll tell you one other time we did.
Yeah.
We took all our wait staff and served the first course to the first top table and served them their food to that big
Just I remember like all the servers coming out and with the plates.
Be my
Oh,
friend,
be my guest.
be my guest.
Yes.
And we served the top table to the music came on and all the servers came out the side and we served all the top table.
And it's-
While the rest of staff did it, we brought a little drama into it.
Yeah.
Be my guest. That's it.
And that's what you're known for, like just bringing drama and bringing drama into food and making it exciting.
So, and so you talk about the philosophy or not talk about it.
Yeah.
I'll talk about it. What do you want to do with your business? Your business has grown to the direction you've taken it to.
Yeah.
And for myself too, I really, my business model never wanted to be the biggest.
Mm-hmm.
Always wanted to be the best.
Yeah.
And, you have to look at the finances of it and your infrastructure of who works with you and determine because I feel like I got a family business.
Yeah.
Everyone's grown with me. They've done what they do. They regard it as their own business. I repay them with, certain monies that make it, because you can only go to a certain level that they have ownership of the business. And that's really important to me. And that's how we built our business model. I really didn't want to go into commissaries and stadiums and country clubs. I just really loved the special event aspect of producing events for social, corporate, and everything else. And if you have a little downtime, and then that's really where we brought into the marketplace that you can all still earn a great living and still enjoy what we're doing.
Yeah.
Because it is a passionate business.
It
You
is.
go into this
And it's
business.
hard work.
It's hard work. Where's your weekends? Where's your evenings?
Yeah.
Do you date? Because you're working so hard?
Yeah. No,
Do you have time?
No,
Don't have
don't have time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they know anyone that goes into this business, they really got to make sure it's where they want to go and how they,
Yeah.
and that this is the passion that will make them happy, strong,
Yeah.
and give them some financial stability on the way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's beautiful. That's what Good Gracious is all about.
Mhm.
Do you ever remember at an event, a moment where things went sideways and you almost went wrong and you saved the day? Do you have any moments like that you remember? I have one with you
Oh, which one was that?
at your son's wedding.
Oh my
But-
gosh, yes. The cake.
The cake.
I've had 2 cake stories in my life, and the other one was for a caterer that came out actually from Phoenix, and they came to Malibu to do their wedding, and
Yeah.
I did their wedding, and those are 2 cake stories I had.
Oh my
Yes,
gosh.
yes, and you tell them what they did,
Running
yeah.
your son's wedding at this
Yeah.
beautiful outside ranch.
Yeah.
And you're saying to me, "Where's the cake? Where's the cake?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm just going to check on the cake." Meanwhile, I had a phone call saying, "The cake's been in a car crash.
Yeah.
It's completely smushed. What would you like us to do?" And I'm like, "Well, I can't tell Pauline the cake's smushed." So I'm like, "Make me a fake cake. Make it out of stone, fake
Yeah.
cake.
Mhm.
Give me some sheet cakes in the back, and I need it in like an hour, please."
Yes, that's
And it's
exactly.
in Malibu.
Yeah.
And then the time goes on and the cake's still not there and we're about to go into dinner and you're like, "Where's the cake? Why isn't the cake out?" And I'm like, "There are bugs, Pauline. It's outdoors. There are bugs. It's in the kitchen. It's all right. I'll put it out later."
I must have been a horrible client, right?
No, you were like, "But where's the cake? Where's the cake?" Anyway, the cake shows up. I bring it out. I put it on the thing and there's like a little triangle where it's real cake.
Yeah.
And so we come to cake cutting and they cut it in the right place. And then we go back into
My
the
other
office.
stories are very similar.
We go back into the office on Monday and I'm like, "So, how did you like the cake?" And you're like, "It was great." And I went, "It was fake." Because you had no idea.
Yeah.
But I remember thinking, "Oh my God."
I know. Yeah, we've been there a few times on these
Yeah.
services. And I'm fortunate. Yeah, we have to spin on a dime, that's for sure. You have to have that situation. But
You do.
yeah.
Yeah. And you taught me that.
yeah, spin on a dime.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and make it work.
Yeah,
So
and you did.
and yeah, I got a lot of other stories, but we won't go into that.
Well, I have some little quick fire questions for
Ooh,
you before
dear.
we leave today, and it's been so lovely talking with
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
But I'm going to ask you this question. I think I know the answer to the first one. Champagne tower or espresso martini bar, or tower, or both?
Both, of course, and saber at the same time.
Yes.
I love that drama.
famous.
Drama, sabering. Yeah, my
Sabering the
grandsons
champagne.
can now do it, and so
Really?
they've always taught them how to
You'll
do
learn
it.
for
So
that.
we love a tower.
Yep.
Tower of any sort,
When your nephew got married, that we did back in October,
Yeah, that tower an hour.
we had a tower an hour. We had martini tower. We had espresso
Tower.
We had,
Dirty martini.
yes,
Champagne.
yes, we had like
Cheese.
6.
And tiramisu.
It was amazing. A tower an hour.
And the cake, the wedding cake.
Yep.
As the wedding cake, we had a little
Wedding-
drama with that, as we know, but we
Well,
overcame
yes.
it.
Mhm.
But we had a tiered cake, and we put limoncello shots all the way
all
around.
around it.
So it was like a tower.
Fabulous.
So
Seated dinner or roaming decadence?
I love a seated dinner.
Yeah,
I love
tea.
consultation around the table.
Yeah.
I just love it. That's my favorite thing. You give me 8 to 10 people around the table. I
Happy as
absolutely love
Larry.
it. You know, but I get the roaming and the activity of stations that
Mm.
you need to keep people alive when they're not so intimate with you. But
Yeah.
I do love a
Yeah. Seated dinner.
seated dinner.
Yeah.
Mhm.
One rule every host should live by.
Oh my goodness, I have no idea what that answer is. Do you know the answer to that one?
Be like Pauline Parry.
I don't know what
Yeah.
I'm really not quite
One
sure.
rule.
I think you just have to really just be sensitive and engage with who your guests are
Yeah.
and try to bring some personality into who they are. That might be
Exactly.
part of it.
And
you know?
place setting.
And
See
place setting.
people.
I like to see that we can just make them feel very
Yeah.
special from the moment we open the door to might play the right music that I know they that might like. I
Yeah.
obviously might cook them food that I know they're sensitive to liking,
Yeah.
and just make them feel special as why they've been invited to our
I
home.
love that.
Yeah, yeah.
End of the sentence. A perfect event always has
Gosh, I should have had these ahead of time.
red wine.
Oh, red wine, of course.
Glass of champagne.
I love starting an event with some champagne.
Yeah.
Yes, I do love, and obviously this day and age, we have a lot of people who are basically not drinking or we want mocktails or something like that. We always have to be sensitive to that.
Yeah.
And I think it's the ambience, it's the music, it's the lighting, and just really being sensitive as to what beverages and food that your guests might like, and to pair it to make it feel special to them,
Well,
And it doesn't, I have a house wine, I don't have to drink, a fancy bottle of wine, although I love it. Don't get me
nice.
wrong, or,
Yeah.
but at the same time, we all have wines. I think it's fabulous for me to find a wine that I call my house wine.
Yeah.
And that to me is, and it doesn't have to,
Yeah.
an arm and a leg, as you might say.
Well, thank you so much for being here today,
Good,
Pauline. I
our
I
time up
love you.
already?
I know, we've been
Okay,
chatting.
so I just want to say I'm so proud of where you've gone, what you're
Aw,
doing,
Thank you.
and to be a guest on your podcast is truly a beautiful thing. And thank you for
Well,
inviting me.
I owe everything to you, so thank you.
All right.
And everybody buy the book, My Culinary Love Story. Well, that's a wrap on the show today. Thank you to my lovely guests, Pauline Parry, and enjoy that red wine. I hope
Just
you
it lasts about 45 minutes. I will say a glass
Yeah.
because it takes me about an hour.
Yeah.
Mhm.
For today, we had a little bit of romance, we had a little bit of reality, and hopefully something that helps you build not just a beautiful wedding, but a beautiful life. If you loved this episode, make sure to follow on all platforms and share it with someone who you know is planning their special day or just got engaged, or maybe they're just in the next chapter of their life. But don't forget to watch out for my Instagram lives each week at Charley Bluebell. Well, I'll be talking about my upcoming guests. And please send me in your questions. This journey is about you as well. So I want to make sure that you are heard in the show. So until next time, stay fabulous, stay intentional, and remember that the magic doesn't end at the end of the aisle. That's only just the beginning. Thank you.
The Charley King Show. Bluebell Talks. Come on in. Let the whole room talk. The Charley King Show. Bluebell Talks. Oh, we learn your life. Then we sing it back. The Charley King Show. The Charley King Show. Parry and a